A once sleepy beach town, Tulum, Mexico is a prime holiday destination ever growing in popularity. People from all around the world seek out this destination on the Riviera Maya for its close proximity to natural wonders. But with a steadily increasing number of visitors, there is a problem arising. A problem overlooked by most and completely ignored by tourists, yet has consequences that affect everyone. A building stress that, if left unchecked, may be the reason for this popular destination's downfall. In between the beauty and allure of Tulum, there's a world where the very people that seek the place for its beauty are having a hand at its destruction. Although Tulum is advertised as an eco-paradise, it tells of an ironically devastating story. The Yucatan Peninsula has always been a relatively undiscovered and undeveloped place to the modern world, a land of jungles and ancient Mayan cultures waiting to be explored. Tulum, discovered in 1841, used to fall under that same description. A town built next to a Mayan ruin on the Caribbean Sea, it was once a quaint and sleepy place, even as tourism began to grow in the area during the late 20th century. It was a laid-back, resort-free alternative to the developing tourist destination of Cancun just up the coast. But Tulum slowly started to grow as travelers and vacation-goers began to creep down the Riviera Maya. From a population of less than 100 in the 1960s, it grew to over 10,000 people at the turn of the century, and now has exploded to 50,000 people in 2024. With well over 2 million visitors each year, the tourism boom is well underway. And while tourism growth is typically beneficial, there becomes an issue when a place originally so undeveloped receives an influx of so many people in such a short amount of time. In Tulum, necessary but unregulated land development has been the norm. Companies and individuals have been able to clear swaths of land in the jungle and coastline for new buildings and resorts without consent or knowledge of possible environmental harm. And while private entities build, the town itself is having issues supporting the population. Current local infrastructure cannot handle the growing amount of people, meaning that the town has trouble providing resources and dealing with waste. For example, citywide electricity has been established, but many buildings are not tied in, leaving a semi-plugged-in town that occasionally suffers from power outages as electricity demand often becomes too great. A dark town is one thing, but the real issue is when this applies to sewage. Tulum's buildings are sparsely connected to the sewage system that has the capacity for proper sanitation, and insufficient individual sewage systems, if any at all, directly pollute the groundwater and the environment. The one thing that can be relied on is the amount of waste produced. Lacking standards have created a town where trash is lining the streets, jungles, cenotes, and beaches, and quote-unquote properly handled waste ends up in unprotected open-air landfills, aka dumps, that further pollute the Yucatan. But why should you care about all these problems as a visitor, paying for modern hotels and staying far away from these issues? It won't affect your holiday time, right? While the immediate and direct cost of these issues are the local environment, there are far-reaching implications that put into question not only the health of its inhabitants, but the very existence of this popular vacation destination. Fortunately, there are some who want to prevent this fate. During my time in Mexico, I had the chance to visit one of the only sustainable waste management organizations in Tulum. Tulum Circula is a sustainable waste collection center founded on the idea of waste as a resource, that a product's life does not end after use, and that most normal garbage is actually recyclable. The owner, a man by the name of Gerardo, collects Tulum's waste, normally going to the dump, and puts in the work to turn garbage into recyclable material. He invited me in and showed me around their facility, where he uses his space as a sorting ground. He and his workers filter through the collected waste bags by hand, separating it into big piles of pure materials, which he can then sell to different recyclers across Mexico. Typical recyclables like glass and plastic were present in bulk, but he collects more than that. It was as if everything one could find in a trash bag could be found in a section of the facility or in some bin. Different types of bottles and cans and cartons. He collects all types of waste. Even small items like bottle caps, batteries, and whatever this is. Traditionally, it's been okay to keep garbage mixed together because it would end up in even bigger piles of the same variety in landfills. But when the goal is to recycle, that no longer applies, and mixed trash is now a hindrance. While sorting waste at the source is ideal, it's most definitely not common here in Tulum. So, in order to use waste as a resource, the trash must be separated to transform it into recyclable material. Gerardo knows exactly what can be recycled and who can take it for recycling. And if it can't be recycled, at least the material is separated into a more pure collection, where then it can be used for other purposes or more sustainably disposed of. When it's all sorted, he calls for pickup. One truck arrived to load plastic bottles into a truck, and another for cardboard. The real show was when the 3 months worth of glass collection was picked up. Tulum Circula is a true waste management organization, filling a void in civil infrastructure that should not be a sole responsibility. In more developed parts of the world, like Europe and the United States, it's common to have local branches of government responsible for the waste of their citizens. Waste management organizations are set up to manage, recycle, and dispose of waste properly. But here, Tulum is left to fend for itself, with the Mexican government doing little to nothing to manage waste. Tulum generates an estimated 180 tons or 400,000 pounds of waste daily, and the portion that actually reaches the landfills, instead of littering the streets or oceans, are still a threat. These rudimentary and ineffective landfills are basically just designated land where trash is piled up on the ground. Protective measures to safeguard the surrounding land from the waste are non-existent. Organically infused liquids from the trash become a biohazard as it seeps into the groundwater, carrying pathogens and other pollutants that threaten Tulum and its environment. Circularity is a key concept in sustainable waste management. Traditionally, a product's life is considered to be linear, meaning that it's first produced by the manufacturer from raw materials, sold to the consumer, used, and then thrown out, ending up as landfill or litter in the environment. But if we just add recycling into the equation, it changes from a finite lifespan into a possibly infinite life cycle. Waste no longer has to be thrown out, and could instead be the materials for new products. We go from linear to circular. That's exactly what Tulum Circula is achieving, diverting waste from landfills for reuse, and is the reason for the name. If we can change our relationship with waste, making separation a common practice, we can help reduce waste and the associated issues. But this is only one front of a much larger and more complex environmental battle. While the town has been developing and expanding, the same cannot be said about the sewage infrastructure. Unfortunately, for a large part of the city, there's no wastewater treatment systems in place. A statewide governmental agency has been established, but there's a lot to be desired. They struggle to keep up with the continual expansion and only service a small portion of Tulum. Furthermore, the lack of and enforcement of regulations has meant that it's usually up to the landowners to set up their own treatment systems during construction, which unfortunately is not common for all buildings. As a result, only about half of Mexico's sewage is treated. Much of what gets flushed down the toilet or goes down the drain can travel freely into the ground and pollute the groundwater. Groundwater is a vital resource in the Yucatan Peninsula, providing for the Mayans for thousands of years, and is exactly where places like Tulum source their fresh water. They drill directly into the ground and distribute water as is, despite potable water labelings on tankers. Do you see the problem here? The groundwater used to service the city is polluted by the city's sewage. It's no wonder why no one drinks the tap water. Contaminated water can fuel disease and spread harmful microbes such as E. coli, creating a public health concern. Furthermore, it's estimated that 80% of cenotes filled with groundwater are contaminated, the same cenotes everyone swims in. This same pollution may soon be the reason why other natural attractions no longer exist. The pollution from mismanaged waste and sewage penetrates the groundwater, which eventually flows into the Caribbean Sea. It's here where the real damage is done. Organically loaded waste enriches the coastal waters in a phenomenon known as eutrophication. The ocean springs to life in algae blooms, which use up oxygen and sunlight, starving marine ecosystems. You can see this effect across beaches in Tulum. Take a walk along the beach and you won't miss the piles of sargassum, a type of seaweed washed ashore by the ton due to algae blooms. Tulum's coast belongs to the Mesoamerican Reef, the second longest continuous barrier reef in the world. A barrier reef that provides habitats for marine life, shoreline protection from storms, food for locals, and tourism. Eutrophication and other pollutants like plastic harm this delicate ecosystem, widely recognized as the planet's most vulnerable. Plastic causes all sorts of issues when mismanaged and disseminated into the ocean. Tulum and coastal cities nearby lose over 2,000 tons of plastic per year, which end up in the ocean. Large plastics can hinder, trap, and suffocate sea mammals, while microplastics can harm the photosynthetic, oxygen-producing bacteria and bioaccumulate as a toxin in the food chain, further adding to the ecological degradation. And, as more room is made on the coast for beachfront properties and resorts, mangroves suffer as well. Besides acting as a nursery for sea life and a protective storm barrier, this wetland ecosystem actually has the ability to remove pollutants from the environment, protecting the ocean from us, The truth is that Tulum is destroying the very environment that supports its life, which tarnishes its reputation as a natural paradise. This region of Mexico is heavily dependent on tourism, and if the natural attractions that people come to visit are polluted or destroyed, there's going to be nothing left to visit. If the health of visitors are in jeopardy due to questionable water and waste practices, people won't feel safe and won't come. If this sounds like a poor advertisement to visit Tulum, maybe that's because it is. But it is the reality, and bringing to light these issues helps start the conversations to solve them. The root of these problems all come back to the lack of, or lack of enforcement of, environmental laws and regulations. While there are federal agencies set up for environmental conservation, these waste and sanitation issues persist and have broadly been left for locals to figure out. While there may be a myriad of political and economic reasons for the lack of federal support, the truth is very apparent. Waste lines the streets and sewage haphazardly flows. Tulum is a sewage dump, and while it may be some time before the government steps in, Tulum Circula looks to the people as the best solution in the moment. By educating the community about irresponsible development, sanitation, and waste management, the power is given to the people. They have the ability to advocate for change, or create change themselves. This is exactly what Tulum Circula wants to accomplish, and they do so through cleanups. Tulum Circula hosts community cleanups around the city on a regular basis, working with other regional organizations with the same cause. One was set up for a neighborhood in Tulum that has been littered with trash. Gerardo spearheaded the day, giving instructions to volunteers for the plan of attack.
Y los demás hacia allá otras 4 o 5 cuadras. Entre los dos grupos van a dividirse y organizarse entre ustedes. Una persona va a tomar únicamente.
The plan for today's cleanup.
So the plan is to clean the streets. We want to sell message to all the people. Like we really need to take care about the trash. We really need be organization about this situation because there is in Tulum a big problem. So we are a call to action to all the people in Tulum. We wanna start to make a programs to clean all the streets and start to call the people to do these activities.
Why are waste cleanups good for the city of Tulum? What do they serve?
So the cleanups is really important because we take the trash, we clean the streets, and all this trash never go to the oceans, never go to the big place that we send the trash. And also it's important because the people start to get awareness because we can show the people what is the trash on the streets, and this is make awareness to all the people, and we need more people, we need more people, we need you. And you know this is not the solution because the solution is the separate the trash in our house, in our business, in our company, but not clean the streets. The clean the streets is a good activity, but it's not the solution. We need more people involved of this. Also the business, because they are making money around Tulum. They have to be care all this situation because now it's almost one of the most important situation in Tulum. All the trash, all the trash is in everywhere in the municipality.
As Gerardo said, the best way to fight waste issues is waste separation. By separating all waste at the source, it makes recycling that much easier, and less waste would end up landfilled or become pollutants. So it's these cleanups that bring attention to that goal in Tulum, targeting not only people, but businesses. Local businesses have the option to reduce their own waste, use more sustainable materials, and separate their own bigger waste streams. If companies take charge or governments make companies responsible for their waste, there would be massive change, and it all starts with the people. Advocating to government and companies can make environmental progress a reality. With locals and visitors working together under the leadership of organizations like Tulum Circula, we can create change for a healthier environment. A healthier environment means healthier people, a place where the land can work for its inhabitants. Healthy environments provide ecosystem services such as food, protection from storms, and income through tourism. People won't have to worry about polluted cenotes and public water, and coral reefs will stand a better chance at survival, so more people can enjoy them. Increased tourism raises the local economy, increasing opportunities for investment into the city and raising the standard of living. By protecting the environment, Tulum would be securing their future. With more money, the city can invest more into sustainable development, further enhancing the city. It's a positive loop that can set Tulum up to be the actual sustainable paradise it advertises itself to be. The people are being heard, and change is underway in Tulum. In late 2023, the City Council voted to donate more land to the Drinking Water and Sewage Commission for water infrastructure. This land will be used to construct water and waste treatment plants, provide space for the operation and upgrading of water distribution networks, and monitor water quality. A desalination plant has also just recently been commissioned to add to the clean water supply in Tulum. And while I've been demonizing Tulum this entire video, the truth is they really are just an example. These issues are commonplace in many parts of the world, including much of Mexico and Central America. It takes political and financial resources, as well as shifts in cultural value to focus on sustainable development, and survival is just way more important than the environment in some places. That's why progressive organizations like Tulum Circula must continue their work. We know that a protected environment will benefit our growing world in the long run. We just have to spread the message and act on it. So should you still visit Tulum? Does all this information mean you should avoid coming at all? No, you should still most definitely come. Despite its infrastructure issues, Tulum is a magical place full of ancient history and natural beauty. What you can do instead is educate yourself. Now that you know of these issues, you can choose not to be a part of the problem. When you visit, choose to do so more sustainably. Reduce the amount of waste you create while traveling, and support places that care and are transparent about their own waste. Or even come join the cleanup event where you can take a direct hand at cleaning up the environment. And why stop at travel? Start by separating waste in your own home. Waste separation and recycling is just as important at home as it is in places like Tulum. Or learn about the environmental issues in your own community. Advocate for change and support organizations that want to do the same. And one thing you should most definitely do is support this channel by subscribing. MyEcoJournal is a new channel dedicated to providing environmental awareness through stories of amazing people creating positive change. Thank you for watching, and thank you for contemplating these real and present issues. Remember, it starts with you.